Hey, welcome to a new video. Today we are at the nostalgic 2 days in Yokohama. We're here at Pacifico, the exhibition center in Minato Mirai, and it's going to be all about vintage cars. We're going to take a look at what's on show today. The show has expanded even further since the last time I covered it, so I'm looking forward to kind of walking through the halls and seeing gold like this and all the vintage stuff that Japan is so famous for, mixed in with a little bit of modern stuff. Like walking down here, I also spotted a lot of R32 GT-R, so we're going to be seeing a lot of great stuff. This show in particular is all aimed at, keeping your vintage car running, modifying it, and of course, all the stuff that goes along with that. So there's going to be a lot of amazing stuff to cover, and we're going to get going right now. Right, and so since Seaside Garage was right behind me there, let's start off here with a beautiful S30 Fairlady Z sitting on Equip 40 wheels. We're going to be seeing a lot of work wheels at this show. Of course, work does so well when it comes to vintage side of things. We're going to be seeing a lot of Watanabe wheels and a bunch of other really cool stuff. We're going to keep going, and a lot of the cars you'll be seeing today are actually on sale, much like this race replica Hakosuka here, selling for 3.1 million yen, and there's a lot of goodness to indulge in. And speaking of things on sale, check out this KPG C10 Skyline GT-R. This is the real deal, and you can always tell, of course, when they pop the hood, you can see that beautiful 6-cylinder S20 motor, 2 liters of screaming glory, Mikuni carbs, fully restored, modified, selling for 45 million yen. So these cars are getting massively expensive. This is a full track build. It's got a half cage, completely stripped out rear end, bumperless all the way. Beautiful car up for grabs for the right bidder. Watanabe wheels and that legendary cream white. Okay, this is super cool. Old school Toyota Town Ace slammed down on some vintage wheels, and it's sitting so low because it actually runs air suspension here, and this whole van is being stripped out so you can load up your old school Kawasaki motorcycle here in the back. And what a sick build. What a great way to transport your vintage bike in this almost vintage van. Of course, at the end of the hall here, there is a sea of collectibles being sold, everything from toy cars to various accessories, and a lot of vintage stuff. There's a lot of amazing little die-casts for people that collect these things, probably find stuff that they've been looking for years. You can see the aged boxes here, so much to look at. We might dive in a little bit towards the end, but before that I have much to cover when it comes to the show itself. Take a look at this garage below little van that's being converted to look like an old school Chevy. Garage Below, of course, is the outfit that does all these weird and wonderful conversions to vans and K-trucks, and it's sitting right next to this massive trike, which looks like it's built on some kind of Indian or Harley motorcycle. Right next to that is the very first Suzuki Jimny in military guise. Really cool to see how these cars started off with Jimny logo on the trunk and the original number plate on the bumper. And a great example of how this show keeps evolving is found here at the Obayashi factory booth, where they have a really cool selection of cars. This shop is actually very famous for bodywork restorations, painting, and of course tuning as well. They're very famous for their Datsun trucks, and you can see there is a beautiful Datsun Sunny here running an insanely well-appointed engine bay. Check out all the carbon fiber in this bay. The entire engine bay has been redone in carbon. Little B310 Sunny Turbo, no longer looking like the original car it's based on, but what a wild conversion on this. Take a look at the back of this thing. Absolutely sick. Sitting right next to this other Bluebird, which is all about a stereo system. And this is their famous Obayashi factory Sunny Track demo car. Take a look at that engine bay, running Webers. And strangely enough, they do have the things that you would expect to see. We have a Ferrari 355, which has been widened. This is actually Sakamoto Sangyo who put this car together. Let's take a look from the front. Drop down on air suspension. This thing looks insane. And you'll have to apologize, today is extremely busy. We'll have a lot of people that we need to get through here, but what an amazing build. And it's actually sitting on 4 spokes, 04. I do like this ducktail. I wonder if this is the Liberty Walk Aero Kit, I'm not sure. But what a crazy conversion to be doing. One of the most collectible 90s Ferraris out there. And we find another beautiful Hakosuka Skyline. What you see here is the real deal. Again, S20 engine, really beautifully restored, running Solex carburetors, just like stock. And this, of course, compared to the one we saw earlier on, is very much a street car. On the other hand, the one next to it couldn't be more of a track car if it tried. I've seen this car in all its development, but it's definitely attracting a lot of attention, so I'll pause here and come back to it in a sec. Alright, so we can take a full look at this carbonized Hakosuka. This thing is wild. It's got carbon fiber over fenders all the way around. Fully tuned L-series engine under here, running Solex carburetors. You see the intake there, feeding air right to the velocity stacks. And this thing is absolutely wild. An amazing modern day take on creating a track focused and I guess half a show car, wild Hakosuka. This show really is about enjoying vintage cars, and like I mentioned, a lot will be on sale. There's a lot of car shops that actually just revolve around selling cars, exhibiting here, so a lot of the stuff you see will be up for sale, and you can usually tell when it's a deal a lot because they really pack the cars together, just like Bakuyasu Auto here. Let's see what they have up front. I spot an old school 11 right next to the Kenmeri, which has been painted in midnight purple. Beautiful selection of cars. And this Kenmeri is something else, absolutely wild. Right, I'm at the Shiba Tire booth, and you will remember that we featured this wild Bodyworks DB modified 911 a few months back. Great to see this car at a show, and happy that we've immortalized this car in one video so far. Beautiful creation, a car that has taken many decades to get to this point, of course featuring that Mary Stuart rear conversion, making it one of the most visually pleasing 911s out here in the Kanto region. Right, I found the R31 House booth here. Of course these guys really do deserve a video. We will be going down eventually, but of course, as the name suggests, they're all about the R31 Skyline. They specialize in these platforms. They probably own the biggest selection of these cars in Japan. They have a couple of selections here. They have a 4-door, this coupe, and the one to have, the GT-SR. GT-SR selling for 8 million yen. This, of course, came before the R32 GT-R was even a thing, but Nissan never really felt that it deserved the GT-R name, so they went with the RB20 single turbo. And R31 House has become quite famous for not only selling and maintaining these cars, but also creating some of the most legendary parts for this car, including their 6-in-1 exhaust manifold. Beautiful car sitting on the Shiba Tire wheels and tire package. These guys are the ones behind the Shiba Tire brand as well. Alright, this is something I hardly ever show on the channel. Old school minis. We've got an Austin here from Garage Deep, and this car is actually on sale. I can't believe this is 13 million yen. I'm obviously not clued up on the value of these things, but this is an Austin, I guess, station wagon 2-door wood frame. I had no idea they were that valuable, and they have their fully built track car here. All the work done at Garage 34. That's a very densely packed engine bay. Wow. And of course, you know, the mini scene here in Japan is absolutely wild, just like anything else. Anything that really resonates with people, you know you're going to find it in Japan. This is the place where people really find their niche and just stick to it, and in a lot of cases devote their entire life to it. So it's always great to see things that kind of catch your attention like that. And the mini selection continues here around the back. There's even more fully built cars for sale. This is selling for 4.4 million yen, and there is a Jackknight version here. I'm not sure what this is all about, but again, one more piece of stock that's up for grabs. This is actually double the price, 8.4 million yen, 35,000 miles on that. I'm gonna keep wandering over here because this is Utilitas. These guys have grown their booth since the beginning of Nostalgic 2 Days into something that literally takes up 5 times the space they usually have. So we're gonna take a quick walk through their cars here. These guys are all about the R30 Skyline and R31 as well. So what Utilitas specializes on is the DR30 and Land Cruisers. They actually have a Land Cruiser down there, which we'll take a look at the end. But what these guys got onto pretty early on is, you know, selling fully restored, ready-to-go packages based on the R30s. And of course, these are the cars that were powered by the FJ20 engine. There's of course 2 faces to the 30. You got the ones with the small headlights and the one that most people will recognize. And these things are getting insanely expensive, close to the 10 million yen mark for this example. This is an RS Turbo, and it just keeps going. Full lineup of stuff, all ready to be bought and shipped out. Right, this is the Land Cruiser on display at Utilitas. They have a booth here together with Worksbell. Worksbell, of course, is the company that makes the steering wheel bosses and, of course, the quick release version, very famous in Japan. They make top quality parts, a lot of billet items on sale, and I do like the flip up one, kind of facilitating entry and exit into cars that have like bucket seats or really tight path into the interior. And like their DR30s, the Land Cruisers are fully restored. Beautiful, beautiful creations here. Kind of celebrating the old school side to the Japanese car scene. Right, I'm here at the restoreparts.com booth, and they have a couple of very cool cars, starting off with the RE Amemiya Shante. This is a insanely wide body version of the little Mazda Shantes that was built, oh god, probably end of 70s. And this thing is up for sale. I can't believe it. Amemiya-san is getting rid of this for 15 million yen. If you want to own a piece of rotary history, this is a very good car to do that with. Crazy conversion on this thing. Of course, it started off as a 1972, I guess, as the number plate hints at. And it's literally a good 30 centimeters wider on each side, running a fully modified engine setup, and of course built for track. Right next to the Shantes is this Carol, which I've never seen before. Not sure what this little Mazda is all about, but it kind of follows the same lines as the Shantes with that massive N2 inspired over fender kit, and super cool. I'm guessing it's rotary powered because it has the Amemiya sticker. Hopefully, if I swing around again later on and they have the hoods open, we can take a look. Continuing on to the restoreparts.com display, these guys are getting a name for themselves because they're really, as the name suggests, all about restorations. They're the guys that had the Hachiroku chassis on display here at the show for so many years, selling freshly pressed rear fenders, front fenders, hoods, pretty much everything you would ever need to restore a Hachiroku to perfection. And of course you can check out their website. They're also doing Mustangs now, and they do collaborate a lot with Tech Arts, which is why they have the Tech Arts Treno demo car here on display at the booth. You can see the fenders on display there, And actually, I'll go over here and show you the entire menu of what they actually offer. So they have a selection of cars from Japan, America, and Germany. So the lineup continues to grow. S30 Fender up there. Of course, Star Road needs no introduction. Our booth is always a big one here at Nostalgic 2 Days. And I guess since we visited them, they've really been working on a lot of stuff. They have this new demo car here, and of course the evolution of the wide body Scuba Time Attack car that has all brand new steel panels on show, including the doors and the hood, all done by Yahagi Industry. So great to see that this vintage side of Japanese culture continues to grow, should I say boom even, with so much new parts supporting people that just want to restore and keep these cars as beautiful as they once were. And of course Star Road helps people do that, and of course get to this kind of state, fully tuned versions. So much to see here. And one of my personal favorite thing about Star Road, of course, is their Glow Star wheels, which they do in collaboration with Work. Looks like they've gone up in sizing. They're now offering 18s and 19s, and that opens up a whole new market for these guys, because I'm already envisioning, I don't know, even VIP cars or vans like the Velfire. Okay, so I actually didn't notice, but the door is sold in a two-piece format here. It's not just the front side that gets offered up for sale. It actually comes with the backing to it, so you have a full kind of production style replacement piece, and it's all in aluminium. It's not steel. This is AL5000 aluminium, depending where you're coming from, right down to their fenders. So there you go, get some lightweight goodies onto your S30 Fair Lady. All right, I'm here at the Garage 34 booth, which has brought a couple of really cool cars. This is an EK Civic. It's crazy that the show is attracting more modern cars every year. This is I guess a collaboration with Tactical Arts. Really sick build, Toda Racing intake, expansion chamber before the filter. And they're actually sharing a booth with Garage Saurus. So there's a nice selection of really sick, fully built R32 GT-Rs here. Of course, Garage Saurus is one of those shops that here in Japan has been pushing RB tuning for so many years. Pretty much starting off on the drag racing side of things, evolving into track racing with this insane orange creation from back, 15 years ago now. This was a pleasure to see out at Scuba during the Super Battle days, and they've topped it up with another 32 here, which we'll see right now. Of course, always single turbo conversions on these things, stroked motors. A lot of these cars run sequential transmissions, and they've all kind of shifted to using the new lineup of HKS turbos, and it's really hard to get a full shot of the cars because there's so many people around at the show today. But what a triplet of cars to indulge on today. Let's take a look from the back. Beautiful rear shot of the three Saurus 32s. Check out this Meiku 4-door R33 with that wild Vel-side front bumper. It's actually sitting next to this crazy Yunus Roadster build, which has gone for kind of like an old school rotary livery, and it is actually rotary powered itself. Little 13B NA, beautiful creation. Right, I am at Daddy Motorworks, and he's brought the two cars we've already featured on the channel, the Sunny and the Hachiroku, powered by the Yaris G16 3-cylinder turbo motor. These guys are really getting their name out there and doing a lot of crazy conversions, all about engine swaps. This company, you can see Otosan here fitting some BBS turbofans to the front of the Hachiroku. Okay, this is not about cars, it's about furniture, but I just had to show you guys. I'm here at Den Motors. They actually do chairs styled on old vintage kind of Nissan GT-R or Sunny seats. They even have Fair Lady seats, as you can see here. And if you do like sitting on your car seats, you can do that in your living room now. You can see how well they're built. Full wooden structure to support the exterior. Really nice wood for the legs. You even get a GT-R logo at the back. They even do a sofa to replicate the rear seats and a display table so you can get all your models in there or bits and bobs to display. What a cool idea. I think these guys are going to do really well with this kind of stuff. What a great way to dress up your man cave. Right, I'm here at Kamizawa, Japan. This is Toshi's booth. He's been really bringing these cars to all the events lately, Tokyo Auto Salon, Osaka Auto Messe, and now Nostalgic 2 Days. This is the 3 Series E36 LTO conversion that he's done in collaboration with LTO, and his own interpretation of the 190 Cosworth. Cool cars to be seeing at the show, kind of representing a whole new bracket of cars that you can expect to see at events like Nostalgic 2 Days, and helping push Japanese car culture so much further, because of course it's not all about Japanese cars only. And how sick does this look from the back? Alright, I found a nice little separate display here to the rest of the hall, where they have this insane Wolf Racing Lamborghini Countach from the Midnight Club. Right next to it we have a Sherry race car, and then a rather special R32 GT-R. This is actually owned by Matsuda-san. He's a very famous Japanese driver. So this shop called Art Racing creates all new replicas of the Jaguar XKSS, the 1955 Le Mans winner, and even a GT40. So they have a complete custom chassis, and they basically build the car to whatever spec you want. Very cool approach to creating, you know, cars that you could never own in real life, of course, because the values of these things are just astronomical. Something fun to do, you know, for people that want to have that kind of feel of a legendary old school legend, but done in a slightly more modern way. Alright, so I'm here at Yajima Car Engineering. They have a really cool lineup of cars, but this Kenmeri here is something special. This is based on a GTX model, fully built L series. Look at the exhaust and intake setup on this side. Of course, the L series engine has both the exhaust and intake on the same side. These engines really do look phenomenal when fully built. You can see all the ignition taken care of on this side. Beautiful, beautiful creation. And that sits next to this R30 Skyline wagon, or should I say 31 rather. Again, running a fully built L series motor. And I think the car that made them really famous is, of course, the L28 powered S14 Silvia that I originally saw probably a decade back at Scuba Attack. And what a crazy way to do a Silvia in a totally different manner. Straight 6 power NA through that old S14 chassis, and it's really been executed beautifully. Cycle fenders, not sure if you can make them out, they are painted in black, but this is definitely a shop we need to feature and dedicate some time to. Right, from old school Skylines we go to something a little bit newer. This is the Garage Active booth. We have their insanely wide R33 GT-R, all carbon fiber, dry carbon body. You can see the carbon fiber weave through the red paint. This engine is actually a little bit sedate if you kind of compare it to all the other Garage Active builds, in that it runs a twin turbo setup, running the all new GT3 turbos from HKS. And right next to it is the R32 GT-R we saw at Tokyo Auto Salon and Osaka Auto Messe. This runs a fully built HKS RB30 motor with an HKS Garrett turbo strapped next to it. This thing is sick. So as I was saying, the Garage Active conversion really works so well on the 32. I'm actually beginning to like the 33 a lot as well. Much like the red car, this is got that carbon fiber weave showing all the way across the roof. It's fully carbonized. This is all dry carbon, no shortcuts here. And the carbon fiber transition here is cool, rather the paint. It goes from like a red into an exposed carbon all the way around the backside. And I kind of like the way he approached the 33 in that it's very much a street build rather than the crazy green 32. It's got a tan interior with houndstooth center sections on the Recaro seats as well as the rear stock seats, and really well executed throughout. Even the roll cage has been wrapped in leather. I'm not sure why they left the rear seats there. There's no way anybody could sit back there. But nonetheless, Garage Active building some of the greatest GTRs in Japan right now. So I'm here at the Desmond Racing Wheel booth, and they have this sick Lancia Delta sitting on their 5-spoke Regamaster wheels. They even have the brushed version of the wheel on display. These are getting really popular. I saw a bunch of them in Indonesia as well at the Elite Showdown. But how cool to be seeing them fitted to Lancia Delta Integrale, il Deltone. Welcome to L Series Overload. This is nothing short of the best interpretation of an L Series engine. Of course, this is the OS Giken TC24B1 motor running fuel injection and a crazy exhaust manifold. Of course, this is a twin cam conversion on the L28 and possibly one of the best sounding motors I've ever heard in my life. It's currently fitted to this Hakosuka Skyline GT-R. Beautiful creation. And check out the interior. As you can tell from the keypad there on the center console, this car actually runs a full Motec system, and it looks absolutely wild, built by Energy. So we've seen a few Hakosukas, the real deal, and this is the first real KPGC 110 GT-R that I come across so far, running the S20. This is the real GT-R. There are so many lookalikes these days that it's so hard to tell until you pop the hood. But this thing is actually on sale. It has only 38,700 kilometers in the odometer. These things are approaching the 100 million yen mark here in Japan. So they're not cheap. And that's mainly because very few of these were made, less than 200. So they are the rarest GT-R out there. All right, the goodness overload continues. I found another OS Giken twin cam head conversion on a Hakosuka. This is literally the ultimate package to have for these motors, at least in my opinion. Again, we have another fuel injecting interpretation of this. I have seen a couple carbureted versions. Of course, a lot of people prefer to go with fuel injection because it allows to really refine the feel of the engine. But just look at those manifolds. Amazing takoashi here. The sound must be insane. Let's take a look at the whole car. Of course, the forward hinged hood here makes things a bit difficult when you want to get clear pictures of the engine, but what an amazing setup and car this looks like. Okay, this is getting crazy now. This is, I've lost count. Yet another real S20 powered GT-R, another Hakosuka. This is a 4-door at the Victory 50 booth. It's sitting right next to a station wagon Hakosuka, which is probably the rarest version of the Hako. These things, you just don't see these out on the road. The last time I always come across these at the Nissan Museum, but on the road, probably one or two only. So very cool to see these. They came with a little 4-cylinder 1.5 liter engine, and we have the Victory 50 shop demo car here based on a 4-door. This is actually powered by an L28, stroke to 3.2 liters and running big Weber carbs. So this is a very, very special MR2. So the first time I actually featured OS Geekend for Speed Hunters, probably 15 years ago, I actually got to meet Tomitaku-san, who was their chief engineer and the man behind so many of OS Geekend's greatest parts for engines and transmissions. And the guy was always so passionate that he always had a little side business going called Office Tomitaku, where he built his own cars and some friends' cars. And this MR2 is just one of those cars. This thing runs a very interesting engine. This is a 4AR. You can see the Tomitaku marking on the engine. For carbs, this is something else, I have to say. I'm not sure of the specs of the engine, but it sits so nicely on those end keys, and something very unique that you would never expect to see or understand if you didn't know who Tomitaku was. All right, I'm here at the Tomei booth. They've brought out their Zero Racing Sunny project, which runs their fully modified B18 motor. You can see the setup here. And of course, they have a ton of cool parts on display, including their complete RB28 4G Genesis engine, which is on sale for 9 million yen. And you can also buy a RB28 complete block for 1.1 million yen. A bunch of their parts on display here. Of course, Tomei really does create all the parts you would ever need for multiple engines. Of course, their RB, 4G, and 2J parts are the most well-known. But cool to see one of these beautiful race Sunnies on display. We usually get to be treated to these cars at the Nismo Festival when they have the race series, and now we get to take a closer look at the engine setup. All right, I am at Cusco now, where I found another S20 powered Hakosuka. I just get too excited seeing the real deal, because like I was mentioning, so many people do conversions on these cars and make them look like GT-Rs with the over fenders. But underneath, it's usually an L series. And when you do come across these S20s, it's so special. There's also a couple of Hachirokus here. This one has been lifted on a little stand here, so you can get to see all the Cusco goodies. I really have to commend Toyota for doing this. This is the GR Heritage Parts corner. You know, they've approached things very much like Nismo Mori Factory, where they're kind of developed heritage parts for very special cars like the Hachiroku and the Supra. But you know, unlike Nismo, they haven't allowed parts suppliers to kind of manage the market, in that, you know, they always seem to be out of parts, and because of that, people buy and stock up on parts, the prices go up, and people can't afford stuff anymore. But here at Toyota, they really have that stuff managed properly. It's all on sale here for, you know, prices that are affordable. It's not all crazy, you know. Little center section trim for 28,000 yen. Wiring loom here for 139,000 yen. Head indicators for 14,000 yen. Like, it's not crazy. It's totally doable. There's even A80 Supra headlights for 132. If you know exactly how much an R34 headlight now costs from Nismo, you'll understand why I'm mentioning stuff like this. They've really managed it poorly, and I think Toyota is on point with what they're doing, at least so far. Since they're able to kind of control pricing with their suppliers, they're keeping those prices nice and affordable, so people can really, you know, hold on to their cars and, you know, fix them up, maintain them, rather than having to give up on the whole idea of keeping older cars because things are just getting way too expensive. So big thumbs up from me for Toyota. You're doing stuff the right way. Right, I'm at Garage Starfield, where there are some very clean rotary cars on sale. Actually, the SA is on sale here for just under 4 million yen. I don't think the Cosmo is, but again, like a lot of the Hakosukas that we've been seeing, always coming across a real Cosmo is something else. The very first Mazda car to run a rotary. This thing is absolutely beautiful and extremely tiny. These things are actually so compact. And it always reminds me of like American 50s and 60s cars when it comes to the rear end, especially. You can see how it's all being designed with a kind of interpretation taken from the old school American stuff. Right, I am here at K-Staff where they have some really rare Subarus on display. Of course, this is the SVX, very rare 3-liter powered Subaru Coupe from back in the day. You can see the 3-liter engine here, 6 cylinders, basically a reversed Porsche with the flat 6 at the front. But I always loved the design of these things. Of course, this was a Giugiaro design. You can kind of guess that through the split glass house. And a very unique car that has quite the cult following. They're not too popular, but then again, they are very, very rare. Okay, you guys will have to tell me how many S20 powered cars we've seen so far. This is one of the rarest, the 432Z, the racing version, the homologation car for the race S30 Fairladies that of course ran the GT-R engine. This is an extremely valuable car, not so many were produced, and of course, like many things in Japan, it's been modified with some headers, aftermarket funnels for the carburetors. It's still running solar. It's got a Star Road radiator and something beautiful from the guys at our factory. All right, so right next to the 432Z is another Skyline GT-R with an S20. This is a 1970 4-door 2000 GT-R, and another car that's for sale. I've come across so many that you will have to kind of let me know in the comments after you watch the entire video. Let me know how many S20s we sold today, because it has to be a record for a day. Absolutely wild. I'm going to keep going through here. I just spotted a number 7 booth, so I'm going to take a look at all their cool products. Of course, I run one of their carbon fiber steering wheels on my R34 GT-R, and they sell a lot of cool stuff that is hard to find, even like the dials from Nismo. Lots of cool billet parts here from OS Giken, the TC24B1 cover, and number 7 is even doing their own billet cam covers here alongside the rest of their products. And this is exactly the steering wheel I run on the GT-R. All right, I am at the Watanabe wheels booth where they have some amazing Hachirokus, all built by CB Wide, Crystal Body Yokohama. As you recall, we did a video on that some time back, and we're gonna indulge in some AE86 Time Attack awesomeness here. So cool to see this lineup here. You can see how much they're pushing the tuning side of stuff on the Hachiroku here. This of course is the car we saw at the shop when we featured it, with that crazy shrouding around the intake. And we move over to the final car in the collection, this wild machine here. Look at the engine bay on this thing. This has managed a 57.063 lap at Tsukuba, which for a Hachiroku is incredible. All right, good to see that Trust has a booth here this year. They brought out their Z10 Sora, the one we featured some time back, with that crazy setup here with the two turbos sitting next to each other. And they've brought alongside their demo car a bunch of work wheels. Got the full work equip layout here, including the new VSKF that has really been so popular at Tokyo Auto Salon. Of course, they offer these up into what, 22-inch sizing? It's pretty crazy. You got the CRs, the 40s, and of course the M1. So ever since I started covering this event, Vintage Yoshino, big car shop here in Yokohama, has always had a crazy selection of vintage Japanese cars and also stuff from Europe. And this year they have this beautiful green 2000 GT Toyota up for grabs. Unfortunately, we don't know the price. It just says ask, but what a beauty to see such a legendary Japanese car up close like this. Of course, Isuzu is one of those manufacturers that no longer makes cars, but used to make some of the coolest stuff in Japan. You got a great example here, the Ballet 1600 GT with that massive four-cylinder engine up front. Isuzu kind of stood out back in the day because they often collaborated with Japanese design houses and Italian design houses to kind of get their designs on point, and I think that's why they were kind of known as some of the prettiest cars of the 70s. Oh, I found another one, KPGC 110 Kenmeri GT-R, right next to another Hakosuka. So the S20 count keeps going up. God, there's so much goodness here, and it's crazy to think the value of these cars put together. Astronomical stuff. This is a funny conversion on a Yunus Roadster from Hurtan. 12 million yen worth of bespoke aero design happening here. I have no idea what this is about or what the inspiration is. It looks like something Mitsuoka would do. Very strange. Right, so I hope you enjoyed checking out Nostalgic 2 days with me. I'm very happy to see how the show has grown over the last few years. I missed it last year, and it's definitely getting bigger and including a lot more cars. The selection of stuff here is amazing. Of course, I concentrated more on the Japanese side of things, but I hope you enjoyed checking the show out with me. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, the like button. Check out the merch shop on dinodc.co, and of course also support me on Patreon. It all helps to bring more and more content from Japan, and it gives me a way to kind of expose the best that Japan has to offer. I hope you enjoyed the video. Check back soon for more.